everybody, Dwayne Rains with Key Digital Systems here with my good buddy Jonathan Ferry. We're here for another exciting edition of Key Digital Live, or KD Live as we like to call it. And Jonathan, your setup here is a little different today, which I know why, and we're going to share with everybody else because we are introducing a new product that we are very excited about, and it is our KD-BYOD4K hub. Now you say, well, we're already familiar with the BYOD4K because it's our favorite wireless presentation gateway. Well, this is adding on to that. It does not replace the BYOD4K, but adds a ton of new features that Jonathan is going to talk about to make it not just a presentation gateway, but a conferencing wireless presentation gateway. So, Jonathan, why don't you tell us all about the BYOD4K?
Can you tell how excited I am? That's right. BYOD, this screen, for example, may look familiar. Wireless presentation. BYOD4K hub, wireless presentation and wireless conferencing. So the camera's in the mix. And I'm not only going to talk about it, Dwayne, I'm going to demo it. I fear no death by demo because it's that good. I walk into the room, conference room. I'm given this USB auto launcher that we have that's included in the box. Plug it in USB-C side or USB-A side, depending on what kind of computer you have. Doesn't matter to us. And before I go ahead and do that, we're going to start with the screen share. Okay. And let's show you guys exactly the experience. Okay. Plugging it into the computer. Okay. It's now in. It's now going to connect to the correct network. It's going to launch the application and it's going to connect to the device. I'm already connected. You see that green button there? I'm ready to go.
That was in less than 10 seconds, Jonathan.
Yeah, buddy. Green button means go. There we are.
Behind your shoulder.
Yeah, and there you are. Now, what about the camera? This is wireless presentation. How do I get this back to the device? Well, we see it's gray. Gray means that something is connected. So I'm just going to go over to Zoom. My Zoom controls, you guys may not see this as Zoom is what we're using to record this. And I'm going to switch my cameras now.
There you go.
There I am. I've got that front of room conference view. And we're going to go ahead and begin this presentation on KD-BYOD4K hub, wireless presentation and conferencing. You see the two directions there. AV casting from the computer, completely wireless to your screen or screens. Spoiler alert, another new feature to talk about. And then receiving the camera, up to 2 cameras. Receiving the room audio. Maybe it's a USB mic speaker combo. Maybe it is something out of a DSP, a professional conferencing DSP with USB audio output. Those have been so popular now for the last number of years. Plugging that in to the USB port or ports of the BYOD4K hub is all you need to then not only present, but now do a wireless video conference, teleconference in your room. KD-BYOD4K hub casts 4K video resolution at 30 frames per second. 30 frames.
Full.
That's going to give you
full frame video.
That's right. I mean, look, I don't only use it for presentations and conferencing. I also use it to stream hockey onto my screen. Ice hockey, fast sport, rock and roll sport, action-packed. I don't miss any of it with my BYOD4K hub. We have Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, Chrome, the 5 major platforms, and something new. Miracast is now supported from Android and Windows devices. Let's get into some of the other features, including the in-the-box KD-BYOD4K FD. This is the flash drive that I showed you. And for those of you who have experienced the KD Play KD-BYOD4K previously, the wireless presentation. You know our software, KD Play. That's what we're calling our wireless casting technology. And the application on the computer and Android devices is called KD Play. But now with KD-BYOD4K Hub, we've upgraded that, KD Play Plus. Good news, everybody. You see that list of units that's there installed in your networks? Well, what if you have many units on the network? Classroom 101, 102, 103, 201, 202, 203. We want you to sell many of these per job site. They're all going to be listed there where you can connect. Don't worry, though. There's a password on the screen that you can enter to make sure that you are casting your content to the screen you're desiring, and also that no undesired people are casting to the screens.
And
Another
important
cool
to note, here, Jonathan, is that if you don't want that code to pop up on the screen, if say you only have one of these units in on your conference room and you don't have multiple rooms in your system, you can take that option off in the settings set up in the admin settings.
That's right. That's right. Another cool thing to know is that this is also backward compatible. So if you do have a network with a mixture of BYOD4K for just wireless presentation and BYOD4K Hub in the conferencing rooms, not to worry, a single software is going to accommodate both of those setups. Another cool feature, now we have dual HDMI outputs. They could be mirror, showing the same thing at the same time. Or it could be one main plus 4 sub. It means that you could have a total of 5 people casting the content to both screens. And on the main monitor, which is what it's labeled on the silk screen, main, you could have one big or up to 4 quadrants. And by the way, those quadrants, it's auto sizing. So if it's just 1, it's full screen. If it's 2, it's just side by side. 3 is 1 on top, 2 on bottom, and 4 is equally sized quadrants. What about this application we're showing here? Very popular. Is just a single computer with like dual monitors, a dual monitor setup. Just like if you have in your office 2 monitors for a desktop computer, you just drag that content to one monitor, right? That's exactly how it works here. You could either do it by using a wired connection and a wireless connection. We're going to show you the connectivity in a moment. Or you could do it by 2 wireless methods from Windows, the KD Play application, we showed you how easy that is, and Miracast. Miracast, you may not know this yet, it's also very easy. Windows K, it's going to give you a drop down of all of your different Miracast supported sync devices to cast your content to. Mac computers, same thing, KD Play Plus and AirPlay, because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel for Mac and iOS. Another cool feature is, what if I am doing video conferencing, but for those who have used the BYOD4K, for example, you know the incredible collaboration tools that are built in. Having people being able to cast their content at the same time on the same screen, showing their ideas and doing the annotation, markup, whiteboard tools that are built in as well, is an extremely powerful tool. And now with this, the output preview, I could launch what is being cast to the BYOD4K, and I can then have that as a window, what's on the HDMI output of the main or the sub display, and I can then put that in my share screen of my Zoom or Teams meeting. Very powerful tool.
That is a really, really powerful addition to this device, and that's amazing.
I mean, it's what you need to do to like it makes full circle that it's presentation, collaboration, and conferencing. That tool there is a perfect example of how well thought our designs, our engineer has designed this through. Now, another example of the real world meeting this ideal world is having a wired option. Yes, wireless is great. Bring your own device. But there are many, many rooms that and organizations that would prefer to have a wired computer as well. And so for that, we have added an HDMI input and a wired USB host connection. So how this works is almost like auto switching, or you can really configure it as you wish. In the KD Play, we have a drop down in the application, in the settings button, we have a drop down to choose wired host or wireless host. And it will default automatically to the wired host if nobody's casting and taking that camera in the KD Play wireless application. And now that wired computer can receive the camera and the USB audio system almost as like a A/B switch or a default configuration of the room when somebody's not coming in to cast. Here's that shortcut. I might have taken a shortcut in explaining that already to the folks at home. How about the connectivity? Dwayne, you want to talk about this for us? Give me a chance to take a breath.
Absolutely. As you can see here, Jonathan, if you'll zoom in just on the back of that unit for a second, we'll still show the side in a minute. So you can see here the multiple USB connections on the right. You've got 2 camera connections as well as the audio connection as well. And then, so some people ask, well, what if I have a sound bar that has a camera in it? Because there's a lot of those out there now. You actually use the camera input 2, the USB 3 camera input for that, and it will take the audio and the video and all transmitted back wirelessly. And as you can see, you have 2 touchscreen inputs. So as Jonathan mentioned, the markup mode, you can, if you say, well, I don't have a touchscreen. Well, you can actually put a mouse in there, a wireless dongle for a mouse or a mouse pin, and do markups as well. Works great. So you've got one for the main screen, one for the sub screen. The 2 outputs for the main and sub, as Jonathan mentioned, and the HDMI input. Now, what you'll notice here on the left, Jonathan, I'm going to get ahead of you probably a little bit, is 2 LAN connections. And so BYOD can be its own Wi-Fi hotspot. It can also run on your existing wireless network, like your corporate network. You're like, well, but we don't want to give those credentials out to our guests. Well, that's why you have that second connection. You can hook your guest Wi-Fi network. BYOD4KHub also has the ability to not have to be physically connected, but still what we call Wi-Fi client mode, where you can wirelessly bridge to your Wi-Fi, which is great. So it's got all kinds of ways to connect it up. You've got the control ports here because, as Jonathan will mention about the control, just slide over a little bit to the side view, Jonathan. You can manually switch back and forth between your cameras, or as Jonathan mentioned, you can send a control command to it as well. And Jonathan, anywhere I messed up there, just let me know, and we'll go from there.
No. You nailed it, buddy. You nailed it. Round of applause for Dwayne. The what else is cool is on that USB switch button, it's dual purpose. You can choose, and by all means, if this is just located in a rack or really out of reach from the customer, that's fine. But you could choose that this button is either going to toggle between 2 cameras, because you could have, for example, conferencing setup of your room plus training setup of the room, something pointed more at the display or projector in the front of the room. Or that switch could be used to toggle who is the host, wired or wireless computer, dual purpose. Now, what about these USB ports on the side? Well, we talked about the USB dual-headed USB auto launcher that we include in the box. And let's say I've now updated my network settings. Perhaps that's normally done after your initial installation, at least in many applications. All you got to do is plug the USB into either of those ports. An on-screen message is going to come up. It says pairing transmitter. It takes about 10 seconds. That message is gone. First you see success. Now it's gone. Now you're good to go. So after your initial installation, getting it on the network, etc., with DHCP, and there's some additional steps as well. But you'll want to launch you'll want to insert the USB drive so that it can pair with the base unit. The control ports.
Didn't mean to interrupt you there. That pairing is very important because, as you showed the auto launch before, say you have multiple rooms, each dongle is paired to its respective BYOD4KHub device. And so you may have some for classroom 1, classroom 2, classroom 3. So when you plug it in, it knows which device to go to. That's what's so important, to pair that up once you have everything set up. Take the
Absolutely.
Make it easy.
Okay. Now, the control port, it was a Phoenix connector on underneath one of those antenna there. That could actually now be used to send an RS-232 command to the room display, room projector. We could send in ASCII or hex characters. And you can see how we can do that. Now, these are automatically executed. So it's really, you come into the room and by basically plugging into the flash drive to the display or basically getting the hub unit out of its standby mode, kind of like waking it up, you now turn on the display, like an all-in-one solution there. We could turn it on via RS or even without any additional wiring needed, CEC. No additional wire outside of the HDMI because that's going to CEC is control over HDMI, as you and I know, Dwayne, but perhaps some
Absolutely.
at home do not. And then we have digital signage mode. When the BYOD4K enters standby mode based on its schedule, and by the way, we can the schedule is another way to turn on the monitor or projector in the room if you have a daily, okay, conference rooms, boot them on at 8:45, turn them off at 5:15 each day, right? So when the unit is in standby mode, the BYOD4K, based on schedule or inactivity, it could automatically head to a URL that you enter. So you could design a URL with your corporate messaging, slideshows, whatever it may be, and turn those conferencing displays in your conference rooms, boardrooms, huddle spaces, student gathering areas. Think about the possibilities. Turn them into a digital signage display. So it's really packed full of features there, Dwayne. And I mean, it's really just scratching the surface. We saw how easy it is to use as well.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to tell the folks?
No, but other than just, if you have any more inquiries, you can reach out to sales@keydigital.com. Obviously, the place your orders at keydigital.com. But go to our website at keydigital.com, check it out, look at all the features there. And now, with this addition to the BYOD family, you can have multiple rooms. Maybe you have your one large conference room, boardroom, etc. But then maybe you have huddle spaces where you don't need the conferencing aspect, but you still want the wireless presentation aspect. So you put the BYOD4K in the smaller huddle rooms and the hub in your main room. And the user experience is almost identical all the way through. It's so familiar. You don't have to change the way you do things from room to room. And you just bring now the conferencing aspect back in. And like I said, everybody wants everything wireless nowadays. We're getting closer. We're not totally there, but this gets us almost right there. So check it out. It's a great product. Jonathan, you did a great job. Thank you so much. And just give us a call anytime you need any questions. And look us up at keydigital.com, sales@keydigital.com for email. And Jonathan, thank you again. And this is the BYOD4K Hub. You need it. You know you want it. So come and get it.